Hey guys, Miss Harbison here. You're getting ready to read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Great book. Arguably one of the great American novels, if not the great American novel. What's interesting about this book, though, is that it is surrounded by controversy. So there are some things that you need to know and need to think about before you read this book. Probably one of the most controversial books of our time, written not long after the Civil War. Realize that Mark Twain, who's the author, grew up in Missouri, okay, a slave state. He went through the battle, the Civil War, is writing this when he's about 50 years old, after the Civil War is over. Even though he grew up in a slave state, he was very much against slavery, very much against racism. Okay, so let that be clear to begin with. However, Mark Twain is a sarcastic man, or was a sarcastic man. And he would not just come out and say, these things are wrong. What he tried to do is hold a mirror up to the way people were acting and behaving and make them look at themselves and go, really? Is that really how you should behave? So, one of the reasons why this book has so much controversy surrounding it is because it's full of racial slurs. Okay, and it's offensive. Okay, and Mark Twain, in writing this book, number one, it was in a different time. But number two, he is depicting the thought processes and the language, especially associated with race, that he felt like was awful. Okay? And that's one of the ways that he's holding that mirror up to the people reading his book and going, look at yourselves, guys. Look at the way you're acting. So, another reason this book is misunderstood is because it's told from the point of view of a kid, a young boy. I'll talk to you a little bit about that, like in our live lessons and some things. But Huck Finn is narrating this story, and so you can imagine, a little kid misinterprets his world, right? Think of a small little child finds maybe a dead bug on the sidewalk, and that child doesn't understand that the bug is dead. So that child tries to interpret what he's seeing based on what he knows. Well, look, mommy, the bug's sleeping. And mommy's like, that bug's not sleeping. Okay. It's not that he's lying. The small child just doesn't understand the world. Okay, so Mark Twain tried to capture that with Huckleberry Finn. So here's this young boy, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, and he is interpreting his world, and his world is one of racism and slavery through his naivete. Okay, he doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand the world. He knows that the people around him say, "Hey, you should treat slaves in this manner." But he doesn't quite understand it. He doesn't quite get it. So whenever he says things in that, understand that Mark Twain is presenting it intentionally as if Huckleberry Finn doesn't really know. Okay, there's going to be a point in the novel where he's like, I know my friend Jim's supposed to be a slave, and I'm probably gonna be punished by God for helping him, but I know it's wrong to help him, but I'm going to anyway. Well, that's Mark Twain really going, Huckleberry Finn's doing the right thing, trying not to be racist, to be against slavery. It's just that he's interpreting his actions based on his society. So all of that to say this, guys, lots of cool stuff in this book. Do be forewarned. There's a lot of controversy, lots of racial slurs in this book, but don't misunderstand it or misinterpret it. Huckleberry Finn and Mark Twain, they're not... or Mark Twain himself writing this isn't writing it to promote racism or slavery. In fact, he's doing very much the opposite. You have to read this understanding that everything Mark Twain writes is full of irony. So, best of luck. I'll keep coming back to you guys and giving you some hints and tips for what you're reading. And I hope you enjoy The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain.